Shalom, everybody. This is Barry Siegel bringing you a report on what's been going on in Israel, in the Middle East, over the last 24 hours. Over 400 rockets and missiles or projectiles have been shot into Israel by the Islamic Jihadist Organization. And this is not Hamas itself, even though Hamas is the ruling governing authority over the Gaza Strip. This is Islamic Jihad. We'll share more about that in other times online with all of you to differentiate who's who. But Israel took out one of the commanders of the Islamic Jihad military forces while he was driving his car at the time of the attack. His name was Tasir al-Jabari. Since the whole confrontation's been going on in the last 24 hours, another 15 more terrorists have been taken out. And of course, several wounded on both sides, both in the Gaza Strip and in Israel. Many of those in Israel who have been wounded were actually running to get to the bomb shelters. And in the case of one family who were safe, they made it to their bomb shelter. They had only 6 to 7 seconds to reach their bomb shelter down in the border city called Sderot, a population of about 30,000 people down next to the Gaza Strip. Now, the reason Israel had to take this action was Tasir al-Jabari was responsible for much of what happened last May when over 4,000 rockets were shot into Israel and a lot of destruction went on. And this is one of the military commanders of the Islamic Jihad Organization. In addition to this going on, rockets have been coming down, raining upon Gaza border town cities on the Israeli side of the border, such as in Ibim, Sderot, Nitzanim, Gan Yavne, Ashkelon, Ashdod, and all the way up to the city of Modi'in, where our center is for Vision for Israel at the Millennium Center. Also, rockets have been shot towards Bat Yam, and some fell off the coast in Tel Aviv. About 30% of the rockets that have been shot are actually falling back on the Arab population of the Gaza Strip. No reports as to where that's actually happened. But I think it's important to understand we are in a war against terror. And our defense minister, Gantz, has warned Hamas to stay out of this. And he said those who hold the Gazan people hostage will have to take responsibility for their own suffering. Gantz, our military defense minister, went on to say, quote, "The situation in Israel's south is tense. I came here today with the IDF's Chief of General Staff, head of the ISA, and General of the Southern Command in order to conduct a situational assessment and to prepare the actions that will remove the threat on this region in accordance with the operational considerations of the State of Israel." I think what he's saying is very crucial to understand the dynamics. We do not want to harm in Israel any innocent population, whether it be the Arab population in the Gaza Strip, nor do we want to see innocent Israeli Arabs and Jews also on our side of the border affected. I'll continue with what he said. To the southern communities, we stand with you, and we will take all the measures required in order to defend you in a manner that is both decisive and responsible, and that meets the operational considerations set to bring about the desired results. Going on, a message to the enemies of Israel. Quote, "To our enemies, and specifically to the leadership of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, I would like to emphasize your time is up." And I emphasize your time is up. The threat on this region will be removed one way or another. The situation in which several terrorists, some of which are not even located in this area, hold the Gazan people hostage will backfire. Those who harm the ability of 14,000 Gaza Strip Arabs to make a living, that come to Israel with legal permits to work, who cause produce to sit and spoil at crossing points, and who lead to electricity and food shortages, they hurt their own people of Gaza first and foremost, and will have to take responsibility for this suffering. Turning to the rest of the world, Gantz also stressed, I would like to address the international community, specifically the countries involved in Gaza. The state of Israel operates in a responsible and restrained manner from a place of strength. We will operate with internal resilience and external strength in order to restore routine life in Israel's south. We do not seek conflict, yet we will not hesitate to defend our citizens if required. So I just wanted to share this with all of you, that actually when the Islamic Jihadist terrorists of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad has already prepared to have attacked Israel's southern civilian population, and that was the reason for this counterattack going on. This is what's happening, and right now I know from the Israeli Defense Forces, they said that all military targets that they were seeking after, such as rocket-producing industrial complexes in the Gaza Strip, other terrorist launch points, they've all been taken out. And I know, according to our own military, that they have assessed that they've reached what needs to be done in order to restore peace in the south. The question is whether or not the jihadist terrorist groups will cease to fire. So far, Hamas has not entered this fray, and they've actually put pressure on the Islamic Jihad to cease from all its activities against Israel at this time, as I don't think the Gaza Strip is prepared for another war and suffering on its own people, who are beginning to really complain and get upset with Hamas and Islamic Jihad that their livelihood and their peaceful living situation is not happening because of their own leadership. So just also to tell you that, thank God, the United States Ambassador to Israel, Tom Nides, on Friday commented on Israel's operation called Breaking Dawn, and it said that the U.S. is standing with Israel at this time to defend its own people. As is expected, the UN is concerned about the situation, and we'll just have to report as things develop. But I do believe that things will come to a close quickly. We can go on for days if we need to in Israel to defend ourselves. It's more serious when rocket sirens are sounding in Tel Aviv, but I do believe that this will be a quick finish, as we don't want to see any more people wounded on either side of the border. We do want to see a semblance of normalcy come back to the life of those both in the Gaza Strip and in Israel proper. I thank you, and just will continue to report as we have new reports. Thank you. Always go to visionforisrael.com. Just so you know, we are placing loads of bomb shelters across the southern and northern borders of Israel. So you can look it up at our website, visionforisrael.com. God bless you. Why I was coming to